Someone woke up with an attitude.
Cancel culture is canceled.
You know what woke means? It means you're a loser.
Why do you think you haven't been cancelled yet? I don't know. What's being cancelled?
Wake up.
Welcome back to another edition of the Woke What Cancel This podcast, where in America we have free speech. Or at least we used to before everything got canceled and woke, because I guess evidently they say this is the new norm. Well, you know what I have to say about that? Bullshit. We are allowed to speak our mind. We can voice our opinion without persecution. Unfortunately, so many people that have offered up opinions and their thoughts get canceled. They do. Did you hear about the school kid that basically got suspended because he didn't agree with their trans policies? So instead of the school saying, okay, you don't agree with it, just let bygones be bygones, they suspended the kid. Yeah, that's a whole nother podcast. But these are the things that we're talking to you about. And the way the world is becoming is pathetic, weak. It's sad. America has never looked weaker, and the rest of the world is sitting there laughing their asses off because they look at everything we're doing here in the U.S., how much we are fighting amongst ourselves, and they are just waiting, just like the aliens, to make their move. And it makes me sick. If my father was alive, if my grandfather, if my great-grandfather were alive, to look at what's happening in the U.S. today, they would be absolutely appalled. They would ask us to take their lives so they did not have to live in the society that we live in today. And to me, that hurts me. That cuts me to the quick, man. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't like turning on the news, and I can see why a lot of people just would rather shut it off, live their life without having to know what goes on in the world. Well, that's why we create this podcast, because you know what? The voices of freedom are allowed to speak. We can crank the volume just a little bit. One side can do it. Why can't we? Are you going to cancel me? Oh, hell no. If you don't like what I'm talking about, just turn off the power button or hit stop. So there you go. That's the simple thing. But see, people don't do that anymore. They don't just hit the stop button. They don't just turn the station. They don't switch the power off. They have to complain about it until lawmakers cave, until school districts go woke, until jobs become lost, because we are such a weak society. Sad, right? And you know what I got to say about that? That's exactly it. So here on the Woke What Cancel This podcast, we talk about issues that are facing us every single day. You are allowed to form your own opinion. That's a great part about being American. We give you the tools. We give you our thoughts and ideas. What you take away from it is totally up to you. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it. But you know what? It's America, so we're going to talk about it. All right, so today's topic is basically unwritten, because it seems like people make drastic changes and then they try to rewrite them. They try to fall back. But you know what? The bad part about it is once the damage is done, such as, like, let's just take the White House, for instance. How many times has the White House had to go on damage control because of the Biden presidency? Let's face it, I would hate to be in the White House right now, because I would be dropping anti-anxiety pills slicker than shit. I would be losing weight by the ton every single week because I would be in such miserable company. It wouldn't even be funny. So damage control, that seems to be what the U.S. is under right now. And God knows, are we learning from it? No. We're not, because we keep making the same mistakes. So let's talk about what's been going on with Budweiser. It's been in the news. You've heard the transgender influencer, Dylan Mulvaney. The guy, the girl, whatever, they're on there. Bud Light's like, let's put this kid on a can. Why? Because it's an influencer. This is what we need to do. Well, of course, the company suffered immediate backlash on this. You don't do something like this. Everybody believes, everyone, every single person, sex, drug, rock and roll, whatever, they all have to be included in every single detail that we do. No, they don't. The bad part about this world, and this is what bothered me when BLM started. I don't have a racist bone in my body. I don't care what color you are. I don't care where you come from. If you're a good person, I'm going to like you. But we have to label everything. When Black Lives Matter first started, everybody's like, oh, black people need to rise up. We're the minority. We need to be at the top of the food chain. We need to do this. We need to do that. And the next thing you know, everything was BLM. TV shows. Oh, if you didn't have a black character, you were racist. Next thing you know, we have an all-black network. Okay? Then everything was pro-women. Everything had to be all about the women because, you know what? If we didn't include them, we were bad. Same thing. If we didn't include black people, we were bad. We were racist. So now, if we don't include trans, everybody is out against them. They're out to get them. The world is against them. And to me, it doesn't make any sense. I don't care what you want to be. If you want to be a drag queen, be a drag queen. If you want to be trans, be trans. If you want to be gay, straight, bisexual, whatever, do it. That is your God-given right. But the other half is jamming stuff down our throats so badly that we can't breathe. And America is beginning to boil over. Absolutely boil over. It is in our streets right now. It's happening. Look at Chicago. We'll talk about that in just a couple of moments. So what does Budweiser do? So they're facing backlash. They're losing millions of dollars on this Bud Light thing with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney. If they needed to put her face on a can, it should have been on a 6-pack and sent to her only, not out for the world to enjoy. Not everybody likes that sort of thing, but they want to feel included. They want people to accept them. But the problem is, it's not happening that way. Because since they're jamming all of this down our throats, Black Lives Matter, drag queens, trans, all that stuff, instead of accepting it, we're starting to push it away because all of this is happening. You just don't do this stuff. So what Budweiser decided to do is unwrite everything. They decided we're going to backpedal. So what did they do? They know everybody loves Clydesdales. I used to love that. They stopped doing it in the Super Bowl commercials, and it's like half the time I don't even pay attention to them anymore because the Budweiser Clydesdales aren't there. So what did they do? They come out with a beautiful ad, including the Clydesdales. And as the ad plays, the Clydesdale horses pass by some of the most famous American landmarks, showcasing the New York City skyline, the Lincoln Memorial in D.C., small towns, farmland, everything American, which is what the hell they should have done in the first place. But they had to go with a trans influencer. Why? Because that's what the advertising department thought was the right thing to do. Remember back not too long ago, we went through something similar. Remember all of a sudden Aunt Jemima? She was missing off the package. What about the squaw from Land O'Lakes butter? And oh, don't forget about Uncle Ben. So we removed these people from marketing, but it's okay to put a trans influencer on a beer can. Does anybody see the irony of this? Why can't we just let it all happen if it's going to happen? All right, why can we only show one side of the aisle and not the other? What the f*** are you smoking, man? Come on. And then you think, oh, we're not going to notice if we put out an ad with the ever popular, ever lovable Clydesdales, everybody's going to forget about it. Nope. Not at all. They didn't even bat an eyelash. They laughed at it. So the new Budweiser Clydesdale American ad, because it's an all-American beer, just basically stirred the pot and made things 100 times worse for the company. So do you think they're going to learn from this? Do you think Budweiser will go bankrupt for supporting a trans influencer? I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen. They're too big of a company. But the American people have spoken. People condemned Kid Rock for sitting there with the semi-automatic gun and blowing to hell, the cases of Bud Light in his backyard. I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, and my wife was sitting there thinking, well, that's hate. That's hate. He shouldn't be doing that. I said, no, it's actually not hate. He is expressing his rage, not doing it toward another person. He's not out there on the streets gunning people down. He is exercising his freedom of expression, his freedom of speech. He wasn't hurting anybody by doing that. If you didn't like the video of him doing it, don't watch. But I'm sorry, you're so thin-skinned because you better get used to it. This is the America that is coming to fruition if we let stuff like this continue. So he exercised his freedom of expression, his freedom of speech, by basically going on and creating a video, just blowing up a bunch of Bud Light cans. He was pissed. I can't say I blame him. And this is what we need to understand. If people can exercise their freedom of expression one way, they should be able to do it another way. All right? It's not hate. It's not hate at all. And we need to stop labeling everything that way. All right, so enough about that because we know damn well it's not over. It's going to continue. Bud Light, you're screwed. Will you learn? Who knows? Hopefully you don't make the same mistake twice. So the next thing I wanted to talk about are these damn kids that we're dealing with. Not every single kid is bad, okay? Just like not every black person is a criminal. Not every Mexican is a drug dealer. But this shit that is happening in Chicago and other cities where these kids just think they can take over the streets and there are no problems handed down to them. Cops, yeah, they're arresting them, but the cops are going to be overpowered. So what do? You just let them run rampant? I made a post on Facebook and I tagged Fox News in it with the story. And I basically said, if this had ever happened to me and I was in traffic and a kid or any other person was coming at me and they started beating on my car, I guarantee you I'm going to hit the accelerator and whatever happens to said person, oh well, you know what? Because if I fear for my life, I'm definitely going to take it out on somebody, even if they're beating on my car. If my wife or my dogs are in the car with me, it's even going to be worse because I am going to stand by and I am going to protect them. I am not just going to sit there and watch it unfold. This crap that happened in Chicago with the quote-unquote teen takeover, this idiot, Chicago elected as mayor, Lori Lightfoot, was bad enough. I mean, she looked like a female Dawn King. Somebody needed to slap the shit out of her in a hurry, but unfortunately nobody ever did. They finally gave her the boot. So what did the idiots do? They, I just can't believe this. They elected another progressive mayor, Brandon Johnson. So what did he do? He looked at this and he's like, oh yeah, we know it's bad, but he warned against vilifying youth while condemning a chaotic teen takeover. Yeah, and he says, in no way do I condone the destructive activity we saw in the Loop and Lakefront this weekend. It is unacceptable, has no place in our city, and here it comes. However, it is not constructed to demonize youth who have otherwise been starved of opportunities in their own communities. Really? You're going to play that card. So because kids are, quote unquote, less fortunate and grow up in the slums of the city, we should take it easy on them when they do stupid shit like this. No, we shouldn't. We should be throwing the book at these kids. The only way they're going to learn, because let's face it, if they don't have a mom and dad at home that can actually stand up and teach them right from wrong, then it is the law's job to take over teaching for them. It is the law's job to put them behind bars, and hopefully they learn and get them the help they so desperately need. But while your businesses are flocking from the city, and Chicago is going down the shitter fast, I'm talking a double flush, you've still got mayors and people that are sitting there saying, wait a minute, there are youth. They're a victim of society. We need to go easy on them. Bullshit. No, you don't. You don't need to go easy. You throw the frickin' book at them. And then you got New York, where the mayor, another idiot, Democrat over there, the mayor is sitting there saying, oh, New York is like the safest big city out there. Well, maybe it is compared to some of the other cities, but I would never go to New York, especially when you got this Bragg dude as a district attorney who basically just pats these criminals on the ass and said, that'll do, pig, that'll do. So no, I wouldn't go to New York. I've always wanted to, but not when you got stuff like this happening and people beating the crap out of other people in the middle of the street in the middle of daytime. Are you kidding me? This is the world that we are seeing now. And the problem is, if we don't nip this in the bud, it's going to be everywhere, all at once. And we're seeing that right now. But here's my prediction, and my wife always laughs at me when I say this. The American people are going to give our legal system enough chances, and then eventually the American people are going to stand up and they're going to take the law into their own hands. It's been happening in Texas and other places with people filling over the border. It has. But we are unwriting stuff because that's the easiest thing to do. We're trying to get rid of it instead of taking the bull by the horns and making a change. Because it's easier to make up excuses than it is to solve the problem. It's just, I don't know. And you know what? Honestly, if I had people, and this is another reason why I love living in the country and nowhere near the city, if people like the ones in Chicago tried to take over a street that we have in a small New England town or any other small town, I guarantee you would see people coming out of their homes with guns, because we're not afraid to carry them. You would see people coming out of the homes with guns and fending off these people, protecting their families and their properties. Because let's face it, we don't take any shit in no way, shape, or form. So this brings me to another subject, and this one is totally disgusting. We did this segment, I think it was maybe, one episode or so ago, regarding bullying in school. I came across this show, or this on my show prep, and I had to do a little bit of digging into it because I was totally disgusted by this, and I am so glad I do not have kids in school that I have to worry about. Because honestly, folks, if you have children in school, now may be the time to get them out before it's too late. Because not only are we talking about drag queen story hour and drag queens giving your child a lap dance while other adults look on. I've seen the video. It's out there. It's happened. Now we have to worry about middle school fight clubs. Have you heard this? Oh my God. Whatever happened to being able to go to school to learn something and not have to worry about what was going to happen to your kids? Yeah, of course, we had school bullies. School bullies have been around for years and years and years, but not fight clubs. This is pretty freaking sad. A Texas substitute teacher was fired recently for turning middle school classroom into a fight club and encouraging 12 and 13-year-old students to brawl until they were bloodied. So this is what your kids could be learning in school. And my thought to the school district in Texas, why the hell did you not do a better job vetting this person before you put them behind the books? Is it because we're having a hard time finding people to work? So you're just going to grab any Tom, Dick, and Harry off the street and say, oh, you know what? This looks like a good one for the job. and the guy's got a frickin' rap sheet 1.5 miles long. The substitute, 24-year-old Natalie Garcia, was immediately fired and now faces a criminal investigation over the incident. It all happened last Wednesday at the Kimborough Middle School in Mesquite. That's at the outskirts of Dallas. And it was partially captured on cell phone video. The footage depicts desks in the classrooms pushed into a circle to create a fight ring as pairs of 12 and 13-year-old students brawl, and the substitute looks on while admonishing the class not to film, saying, "I don't want this on record." I'm serious. This is frickin' sad. Now, at this time, no arrest have been made, but the case is still actively being investigated. Why is there no arrest? Why the hell is this person not locked up right now? They're still out there. And these are kids, young teenagers that were part of this fight club. And of course, you know the first rule of Fight Club. You don't talk about Fight Club. But I am sure glad that there was a student who decided to take it on her own to videotape this. But this is just some of the crap that is going on every single day. I turn on the news and I look at this stuff going on in the world, and it makes my blood boil. Because the bad part about it is very few people are standing up and taking care of this. We've got district attorneys that are soft on crime. We've got a White House that can't wipe their own ass. We've got school districts afraid to press charges. We've got a legal system that is beyond broken, but yet nothing is done. And again, we are unwriting things. Instead of writing a new chapter, instead of being a stronger America, we are becoming a weak nation. Yes, even with the fighting, it's weak. I don't get it. I do not get it. Some of the students with this fight club actually left the classroom bloodied. Now, yeah, back in my day, I ducked the occasional punch because you know what? We had bullies. It was a fact of life. You went to school, and if you weren't a jock, if you weren't part of the upper class, yeah, there were times you got stuffed into a locker. It happens. It happens. But when you send a child to school, you are under the assumption that that child is going to have a safe day. They're going to be taught by teachers who take pride in what they do. They're going to be safe with a legal system that should be taking care of criminals, grabbing them right by the balls and saying, this is enough. But yet we're not. We sweep it under the rug because it's easier to be silent than it is to speak up. What's the worst that could happen? Are they going to cancel you too? You have a right to know everything that's going on in your school. You have a right to know everything that's going on in your place of employment. You have rights. Start exercising them. Don't lose your backbone. Don't be silenced by people. And if you think something is wrong, if you think something is incorrect, that is not inside the realm of normal, which is anything even normal anymore, talk to somebody about it. And if that person doesn't do anything, find out who their boss is. And I'll tell you what, there are some state reps out there that'll get behind you 100%. They will open an investigation. Don't be quiet, folks. That's what they want you to do. Speak up, stand fast, don't be afraid, do not become unwritten. Again, this has been the Woke What Cancel This podcast. A lot of this stuff, like I said in the beginning, this is opinion, but a lot of it is also based on facts. You can look up any of this information on the internet. You can form your own opinion, but do not be silenced. Do not be canceled. Do not become woke. Wake up. Do not become woke. Check us out on Facebook. Search for Woke What Cancel This, all one word. Also up on the YouTube channel as well. If you have something you'd like to talk about, if you want to be a guest on the program, email me now, WokeWhatCancelThis@yahoo.com. We'll see you next time, America. Come on, stand up, be heard.